Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this episode of the Fireside Chat. With me today, as always, is the founder of Pendelhaven, the creator of Fate of the Norns, and just overall Viking guru, Andrew Valkuskus, who this time I purposely said his name wrong. And with us today is also the amazing and fantastic Joe Guy, who seems to have a wall of invisible things behind him today. And I can kind of see it. It's hard to make out. So we're having another more little casual episode today, as sadly Justin and I'm very sorry if I butchered this name, Affinland
No,
canceled on us.
Reynard.
So yeah, basically canceled on us today. That's unfortunate, but basically eventually we're going to touch base and we'll be able to have that interview. So
For sure, but
how
we
you
took the
doing, guys?
opportunity for a very seasonally appropriate topic, as Joe and
Yes,
I have been talking about la chasse, the hunt
yes.
in Quebec, and nothing more Viking than going out and getting your own meat yourself rather than the grocery store, getting out and getting it yourself.
So you like the way you do it is you go to the grocery store and you get the chicken from there, right? You
Yeah.
put it out into the wild, and then you guys go find it and you shoot it, and then you
Exactly.
bring it home. That's how it works, right? Like I've never hunted before, so give me the logistics, give me the rundown of it. Like,
If you go with your chicken in the wild and try to shoot it once he's already dead and all, and no more skin on it already, it's just gonna be steak haché,
That's it.
Grapple?
Hamburger meat.
hamburger meat. Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
You're gonna have a little bit of
They
that
make
burnt
chicken burgers.
flavor of the cellophane that's around the. You gotta remember to take that off if you're gonna shoot
Yeah,
it.
but
Take
that's
the
the spicy
cellophane
sauce,
off.
right?
So
I mean, to
um,
begin is the course, right? I mean, you've gotta take a course to get a permit to go
Yep.
hunting, right? So you can't
Yeah,
just go
yeah.
and pick up
This is
anything.
in Canada.
Yeah,
this is in Canada, but I think it's the case in some of the states, also in US, but at least for firearms. But the thing is that here in Quebec, in Canada, we also have like a second permit, which is like introduction to hunting. Basically, help you understand properly a bit of the low basics of hunting. But I think it's good. It's a good introduction course for someone that want to start. And once you do the permit, it's good for life. So
yeah,
it's a matter of going for a weekend,
yeah. When I
doing
took the
both.
when I took the courses, I was in class with like really older people, men and women of all ages, and even kids as young as like I think 13, 14 years old in the
Yep.
course, learning the basics. Just
Yep.
like responsible hunting, about ecology, on how to make sure that the population isn't either exploding or diminished, and then we have to like change the hunting quotas and the regions and things like that. So a lot of it is being at one with nature, and
Trying to understand
game.
how not to go too far with the resources and make sure we have plenty every year.
Okay, that's actually really interesting. I would have not guessed, honestly. So, and like that seems actually really informative. Like I'm not a big person on guns or anything like that. So like when I think about that, I'm like, it doesn't really seem interesting. But that actually kind of I'm kind of curious. How much is a course per weekend?
I think it's around 160 or something like that for both firearm and the because it's 2 day. One is firearm course and the other one is hunting course. But depends. I don't know. The last when I took my course, it was a couple of years back, so
So it
I
might have been
don't.
changed, and especially
Yeah,
with
yeah,
COVID, like I'm sure it's a little bit more wibbly wobbly. But
yeah,
that's fair.
It
yeah. I
was
don't know how they
interesting.
managed during
That's when I
COVID.
took it. That's when I took it. Actually,
Ah,
that's
okay.
what pushed me over the edge, because I always had a mind of like learning about that, being self sufficient. I'm very much about like live off the grid, be very self sufficient, and the whole pandemic side of things just kind of tipped me over. I was like just looking for an excuse to go take the course. And you're saying like firearms. The first course actually will teach you how to use a crossbow or a bow, so you can
Yep.
go hunting very primitive
Huh.
style. Even though the technology of crossbows and bows are just unbelievable. Like you can take down
Yeah.
a moose
Okay.
or a elk or deer with a crossbow.
Well, like a modern crossbow can like pierce like extremely thick steel, even, right?
Yeah.
Like So
But
that's
it
understandable.
also depends on the points you're using, and that's the strength also of your crossbow. But no, it's just there's a type of weapon for every kind of people. I understand that firearm are a bit scary, and they should be because it's dangerous.
You have to
But
respect
at the
them.
same time, it's the most efficient weapon to use in hunting. But again, crossbow and bow are really nice too. It's just a matter of you know you don't want to make sound when you go hunting. Some things you don't think about is with a bow, you need to extend the bow,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it makes sounds. So you need to really make sure you don't do it too early, because if you do it too early, you're not going to be able to hold it, and if you do it too at the last minute, the bee's going to hear it. So
I just
it's
immediately pictured the stamina bar going down on
yeah on Valheim,
Valheim.
exactly.
I'm holding the bow back and the
waiting.
Oh, guys, I'm tired. Oh, like, until it gets patched.
And
That's
then
what
there's
happens.
also that twang, right? So whenever you
Yep.
release, let's say even a crossbow, there's that twang, and the speed of sound will hit the deer. The deer,
Yep.
by reflex, will lower itself, and by the time of impact, you might be hitting like the top shoulder rather than the vital box, right? So you end
So
up
you have to
learning about
compensate
those
for
kinds
that.
of things.
Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. There's those kinds of things that you learn about, like, being also responsible in terms of where you set up your kill box. That, if your projectile goes through the animal, you're not hitting something behind, like someone going around picking mushrooms in the forest, or your projectile going across the street, or into over a body of water, because a bullet will travel very, very far. So there's a lot of,
Depending on the gun.
yeah. So there's always, like, you have to plan out and think, 1, 2, 3 times before you pull the trigger, to make sure that that your projectile is going to go into a terminal point that is not an unknown afterwards.
Yeah. Not an unknown, and you don't want to just hurt the beast and not kill it.
Exactly.
So you want to find it. So you want to make sure that you hit the right spot, and that's another reason why you want to have a clear path as well. Make sure that nothing's gonna hit your arrow or your bolt, and deflect it, and make sure that you're gonna hit the animal at the right place. It's a bit less tricky with guns, but again, guns in Quebec, at least in Canada, we don't have the right, like in the US, to hunt with like handguns and stuff like that. So it's really strict. We can use shotguns, and we can use
Long guns.
like long guns, but not. We don't have a lot of caliber. We just like have 2 or 3 main caliber that we're using in here. And again, depending on what you're hunting, you cannot use any type of caliber. You need like I'm using a shotgun, but I mainly hunt birds. I go for duck, goose, and turkey, which we are allowed with shotguns, but we cannot use any long guns for that. So, but we can use crossbow for most of them. But it's kind of hard to shoot a flying duck with a crossbow.
It'll be really
I
good.
would like to see you, Andrew, do that.
More practice. Well, I got myself a shoddy eventually, so now I can join you with the shoddy.
Yep. You have to join me at some point.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, today was prep day, so I'm a little bit behind. I mean, our season started October 1st, and
Yep.
I was under the gun to get Children of Eru out to the printers, correct the issues that we had with the printers the first time around, and it's been so long with Lightning Source. So again, we have our backers watching, so I wanted to give an update as well. So I'm actually even using another printer as well, which is, besides our usual Lightning Source, I'm using Barnes & Noble Press as well for some of the smaller print runs, to see if we can cut that down. So for me, it was, there's no hunting season until this stuff's done, and finally we got the stuff wrapped up, I think, like last Friday. So I can think about a little bit of hunting over the next, we got 2 months? 5 weeks?
Yep.
5 weeks.
Yeah, you have until mid-November, roughly.
21st, 22nd, I think.
The end of the second week of November normally, but depends on the region, I would say. And if the black powder's season is a bit further than other region, but apart from that, I know that with a crossbow you can go in every part of the season, because it's not the case with the guns. The guns you have mainly 2 weeks to go, which is roughly first 2 weeks of November normally.
That's the nice thing with bows and crossbows. You get an extended season early on in October. And then black powder. Mention, like, for our viewers and for Aaron, what is black powder?
Yeah, that was actually going to be my next question. Thank you.
The black powder gun are basically like old kind of guns. Basically, you load from the mouth with pellets and powder pellets and big. Looking for my
I'm sorry, hand cannons?
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. So basically, it's like a long gun, but you load it from the mouth with powders and everything, like old.
And you got a hammer.
Flint hammer. Yep.
So we're still using those.
I'm interested. God damn it.
Those got a serious kick, though.
Those are the only guns I'm interested in. Yes, they're also the only guns. Technically, they might explode on you depending on how they're made, but yes.
No, they're not. They're really safe today. They're
okay.
Really,
they're probably modern made. I'm
Yeah.
imagining, because I used to do weapon handling and a lot of stuff like that, and I have a funny story about that. But I'll let you continue explaining black powder after. I'll say that after that.
But the thing about black powder, though, is that it kicks a lot, and you don't have as much range as other long weapon. Because basically it's losing a lot of velocity as it go, and the bullet is really big as well. It's a .50 caliber.
50 caliber.
Yeah, it's .50, so it's really big. But basically, the accuracy is really good. But the thing is that because of the velocity is going down really fast, the curve is going down really fast too. And your kill distance is not the same as other long weapon like 30 30-06, which is basically the most versatile type of gun you can have.
Now, the other thing is it also creates this huge billow of smoke. And so a lot of the times...
the sound is awesome as well. It really... You know when you shoot.
and one of the things you want to do before hunting season is to go to the range to make sure that you're well sighted, that you're back in practice on how to use all of your firearms and stuff. And so a lot of the ranges actually do not enjoy having black powder there. So you either have it a separate area for black powder, especially if it's an indoor range, because it's loud and there's the dust everywhere, or there are some ranges that don't accept black powder at all. You've got to go to an outdoor range. To get yourself back into the swing of things.
The other reason why you want to go to the range as well is because, as you stated, gun is kind of scary, and it takes a lot of time to get at ease with your weapon and not, close the eyes as you shoot or expect that it's going to make a lot of noise and it's going to kick back. Yeah. So to get at ease with the movement of the gun and make sure that you still have your eyes open when you shoot, so you're really precise. So you need to use your gun a lot in order to be able to make one with your weapon.
That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. Like, honestly, I do a little bit of combative stuff, and it's no different than like when you're learning to fight with a sword and a shield. You need to learn how to keep your eyes open despite the fact that shit's happening. It's hard. It's fucking hard because
it's super hard. Super hard.
Like, to fight that innate, oh my god, I should not, so I get that. Now, go ahead.
And I would say that what people are expecting most is the sound. The sound of the gun is really kind of scary at start. Most people use like earplug and stuff, and even then they're kind of scared of the noise because it makes a lot of noise. And I would say most of the people I introduce hunting, it's always the same. It takes a couple of years to get used to the sound. The kick is not that much depending on the bullet you're using or the type of weapon, but again, it's really the sound.
Depends how much you shoot, though. My buddy took me out for skeet shooting. And we shot for like 5 hours straight, and oh my god, my shoulder was so sore. I was in pain afterwards. I was like, oh dear God.
Dude, those are small loads.
But it was just
Wait till I
nonstop,
bring you.
nonstop.
Wait till I bring you shoot some goose.
Okay. I don't think it'll be nonstop though. We'll be sitting there for a while.
No, but you're gonna be sitting there for a while. But when they start coming, it happen often. I shoot a box or two of ammo in one day.
Okay, so
I shoot a lot.
I haven't done migratory birds. I've done turkey, but I haven't done migratory birds. So tell us about the experience. How do you set up? You've sent me those crazy pictures of you guys setting up the decoys. Paint a picture for audience.
You want me to bring some picture?
or paint
the
a
thing is
picture.
that one of the biggest portion of migratory bird hunting is to be able to scout properly, because they're not going to sit in a field for like 2 weeks in a row the same place that you can just go and shoot them as every time you want to go. So every time you want to go hunt, we need to do a lot of scouting beforehand. So 1 or 2 days before, we're gonna go and do a lot of reconnaissance with our vehicle, and basically go and ask permission to people go on their territory if we find some at some place. So whenever we find like a spot where they land in big quantity, we're gonna go and ask first, and then afterward, the next morning, we go in the field like around 4 in the morning,
Pre-dawn.
and we have to put a lot of decoys, like depending on where we go. But if we go for goose, it's like roughly we have in between 60 and 100 decoy. And when we go for white goose, basically it's a snow goose, it's roughly 400 decoy, that 400 to 600 decoy that we put. So it takes
400 to 600 decoys.
So when are you done setting up the decoys in that timeline?
But basically we're a lot of guys, so when we go, we're in between like 3 to 6 guys that go off and all together. So
My question depends.
so it takes a lot of time. It takes roughly 2 hours to just set up everything and take
So you
everything
show
back
up
afterwards.
at 4 a.m. to put a bunch of fake birds out in the world.
Yeah,
basically,
then we start hunting at 6, something like that around, and then roughly around 9 to 10, the main flyway is done. So you will be done for the morning at least. If you want to go at night, you can come back after lunch. But basically, they sleep on the water. They come in the field to eat during the morning. They go back to rest during lunchtime, and then they come back in the afternoon, and then they go back to sleep on the water. So you want to be in the field when they come and eat. So you have to set up beforehand. So that's a lot of work and preparation, which often don't show. People just think that hunting is really like you just go sit and shoot at something, but there's a lot of preparation. You need to think beforehand. You need to prepare a territory. You need to think about how you got to position your bird as well, because you need to think about the wind. You need to think about the flyway, where they're coming from, and how they're gonna land in your field. So you need to set up your kill zone as well as you plant your decoys. So there's a lot of thinking behind it, and it often happen also that if we see that birds don't want to land for some reason, sometimes the setup scare them or they don't have enough space, so we have to move stuff as we go during the morning, depending on how they react to what we're doing. And the biggest part is to know how to call them. Use some.
Use your cell phone, right?
No. We don't have for goose. We don't have right. We need to do it by hand, like we'll call. And this is something that takes a lot of time to master. There's a lot of different kind of call that you need to understand and master in order to have them sit and come and be at ease with setup. If you make too much noise, they're not gonna land. If you're not making enough noise, they're gonna think like it's not normal to see as much goose and not hearing anything. So it's really like you need all those little details in order to get better and better and have better hunting times. But
have you guys used like Bluetooth speakers in the field?
for snow goose, for
Yeah,
snow goose,
'cause
Yeah, that's what I was actually meaning. So
Yeah.
okay.
Because we did
for
that
snow
with,
goose, we have right in here to use those, and it's even better to use those because, as I told you, we have like 400 to 600 decoys to spread out. So it normally would make a lot of noise to have
Yeah.
600 birds in a field. So we need those speakers to simulate that like mass of birds.
unless they're mimes, a bunch of mime birds.
Yeah.
Man, these birds are like real still. It's like, are you okay?
Yeah, I've done
What's that
turkey
noise?
for 2 seasons, and turkey's a lot more lightweight. So for turkey, I bring like 2 decoys. I set up 2 decoys, and I've got 2 types of calls. I've got like a wooden collar, like a scratcher, and I've got I've got an owl collar as well. So that's usually to locate them in the evening. So you go there in the evening to see if they're there, because owls are the huge predators for turkeys. So what you're gonna do is do a walk around, and you hoot as an owl at dusk. And if you hear a panic gobble, it's too late for them to leave. You know that they're in the area. You don't do it enough to scare them away. You just do it enough that they do their alert call, that they're given an alert that they're exactly. Oh shit.
Because they sit in trees as they sleep in the trees, so they're gonna just make noise to scare everything around and tell them that we're there. So it's basically the best way to spot them.
Exactly. And then you come back pre-dawn as well. So they have amazing eyesight. You have to show up while they're asleep, be very quiet, set up, your blind, the decoys. If you're going to use a speaker, set up a speaker. And at that point, like when dawn comes, and again, the art is to call them. You can't overcall them, you can't undercall them. It really comes down to this language back and forth with them. And you overcall them, they're like, what the hell? And then they take off. And you undercall them, then they're like, well, we're going to go wander off somewhere else. So it really comes down to an art there. And a lot of patience, too.
And also depend on,
Turkeys.
when we are hunting turkeys is during the mating season. But sometimes we're a bit like early in the mating season. Sometimes we're a bit late in the mating season. So depending where we at during that season, you will have to change your calls as well and adapt to that. So
Pick up lines. I got it. That makes
yeah,
sense.
exactly. So when they're orny, you can say anything, they're gonna come. But when they're already like, okay, I done my thing, they are there to have them come out.
Educational stream.
Yes, this is the educational stream. And it's funny because on the apps you've got the little the different calls. You can hear them. Then you can try to mimic them also, because also with the app they're always the same sound, exactly the same sound every time, right? So if you're a bird and you're going to hear the same intonation every single time, you're like, something's off here, right? But if you're trying to mimic it on a piece of wood or like one of those scratch pads, through the gobble gobble sound and things like that, you're going to get those different intonations every single time. It's going to sound more natural, like an actual bird that's making those sounds. So yeah, there's an advantage to doing it the old-fashioned way as well.
It's all come down to practice in the end and understanding what you're hunting and where you're sitting when you're hunting. But I feel like it's really something like we already discussed. It's something natural that comes naturally to people as they start hunting. It's not something you wake up in the morning and say, okay, I'm going to start hunting. Apart from Andrew that decided to do that, but normally people don't do that. But once you start learning the basics, it comes out naturally. It's something that really relaxing at the same time, because you need to focus on something else than yourself for a couple of hours and understand where you are, understand the exact moment you are in right now and how to react to that, which I feel like it's really one of the best getaway as well.
Yeah, it is. It's a good meditation. It's a good reconnection with the land, something that we lack with the cell phones and interwebs and always being connected and always distracted. So it's a good retreat, and actually even sometimes get some work done in the game design, like there, and I'll get this moment of inspiration. I'll have a notepad out and I'll be like, all right, scribble down some ideas for War of Shadow or for Vigrid or some, upcoming projects, right? And that actually happened once where I even missed a turkey because of it. I was like, oh, I have this great idea. And here I am, like, hyper focused on my design. And I've got this ledge in front of me with my crossbow sitting there. And it's a good, like, foot away from me. And I'm writing away furiously. And I look from the corner of my eye, not like 6 feet, 7 feet away from me, this turkey just walking past me. And I'm like, oh crap. And these things, they have super good eyesight. I'm like, oh, I got to move super slow.
Yeah.
And I'm moving super slow, like putting down the pad, reaching up for the crossbow. And this thing's just walking into scrub. So it's just more and more bushes and tangled branches. And next thing I know, by the time I had the crossbow and turned, he was just like too deep into the bush. And I was like, yeah.
See, if you'd given it more chance, it probably would come over, checked your notes, checked in your spelling.
So the costs of working while hunting.
Yeah.
So
Other thing
don't
of
work when you're
one
taking
thing,
time off.
which is I feel like it's really like one of the nicest part is to connect with how to eat your meat, because we're so disconnected from the hunting process and killing a beast, and we just go to and buy meat that is already like killed and prepared properly. Learning that entire process gets you to understand a bit more and be a bit more I would say
Aware.
less disconnected and no, I would the word I'm looking for is
Respectful?
I would say not take it too lightly.
Not taking it for granted, basically.
Yeah, not take it for granted.
You appreciate it a lot more because
Yeah.
it's a lot of work, and you realize that a life was given for you to be able to eat.
Yeah. So and at the same times, when you go and buy like a part of the beast, you don't think about the entirety of it. But when I go and hunt a goose, I use everything I can from the goose. I don't throw any part that I can use to do anything. So I use the carcass to do broth. I use all the part of the meat, even if it's like not tender. I would cook it differently, but I would use everything. And I think it's the best way to consume meat. And we kind of lost that with the way we are doing things right today, and the way we are buying our food, which is really convenient for everybody because we have access to a lot of food. But at the same
Until
time,
our supply chain breaks down.
Yeah,
like we've seen that over COVID, right? The supply chain is broken down for things like medicine, for lumber, for all kinds of things where prices have gone up. And we realize that we've lost this knowledge locally. And food is the most important thing. Once you lose the supply chain for food, that's when pandemonium, law and order breaks down, when people can't get their food. And that's why it's really important to just not lose sight of those important building blocks locally. I mean, like for holiday traditions, for Lithuanian meals, we've got all kinds of special dishes that are made with specific parts of animals that today you can't really get in Quebec very easily. So I need to go to like the butchers, and even some butchers don't have it. They send me upstream to like the distributors of the butchers to go get certain parts, because they're like, and they ask, oh yeah, okay, we've got those for you. How many do you need? We'll give you like $6 for like a dozen, and because no one wants them. Normally the stuff is like thrown away or used for something else, for feed or things like that. And so less and less of these things are making it to the market because of our disconnection with
the mass production of food and stuff, just like it doesn't have time for that, right?
Yep.
So I get that, and it just sounds a lot more respectful to the animal, honestly. So
it's a lot more respectful, and it goes into a cycle, which is a normal cycle. And even when I don't use some part of my birds, I also keep them. I froze them and I send them to one of my mates, which is doing trap.
Taxidermy. Right?
Non, de la trappe, des pièges.
Traps. Yeah,
traps.
Yeah, traps.
He's doing trapping, so and the thing is that he's using those parts of the birds that I'm not using to put in his traps and catch something else. So those are kind of stuff that normally
You wouldn't think of you
no,
reusing.
you wouldn't think they would just go to the garbage, and they wouldn't be like using an entire cycle that that is brought with the fact that you are more aware of the fact that you killed an animal and you want to use everything. You don't want to throw. You don't want to be like just picking this portion and just
Yeah.
throwing the rest.
And the quality of life for the animals is so much better out in the wild
yeah.
than what it is like in
Also.
industrial farming.
For sure.
Industrial like meat production is disgusting. If you watch any of those documentaries,
And
like,
the
you want to
quality of-
become vegetarian at that point. Oh yeah, for sure.
Like, I'm sure Joe was about to say, but even the quality, like when
Yeah.
it comes to the game meat versus
Oh,
like,
the quality of meat is
uncomparable.
uncomparable.
Because like
Yeah.
I had bear once, and it melted in my mouth. It was like, oh my god, one of the most softest and amazing. Like it was like butter meat. I don't know how to explain it. It was fucking fantastic, and
Yeah.
so I'm
No,
sure you
the
have
meat is always better, and also because what they eat normal stuff that they would normally eat, which is part of their normal feeding process, which is not the case when you go and buy some chicken to the groceries. Basically, they're fed with a lot of hormones and different stuff, and
They're also pumped, full of
Other
hormones
chickens.
and
and
antibiotics.
they want to make them grow super fast, so they're really fat as well. So you
Yeah.
know, all this fat you're gonna eat as well when you eat your meat, which is I really ate that every time I buy some meat from the grocery. I'm used to eat a lot of game meat, and I've been eating some since I'm a kid, and it's part of my major portion of my meat is game meat. And every time I go and buy meat at the grocery, I'm disgusted with all the fat that goes. And you start with a piece of chicken that big, and it gets that big once you cook it. And there's like, I put it in my mouth and I say, this is awful. This is just quite awful.
Yeah, I
So-
concur. The same ones, those pre-cooked chickens that you can get at the grocery store, the ones that you get in a box there,
Yeah.
like $8 for a pre-cooked chicken. Like a lot of those are just, I don't know, they just don't seem fit for human consumption.
But they're clearly fit for us to consume, but they're not as good as if we would eat some game.
I
You
don't
know,
know.
it's just
I don't feel good after eating those.
if you even look at like historical pictures comparatively from animals then and there and now, like the size of a chicken, the form of
Yeah,
a
yeah.
chicken.
They're
Things-
dire chickens now.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
straight up. You know, that's a good way of putting it. It's straight up like +5 chicken you got right going on there.
Plus
Like,
one D8 hit dice.
straight up, like it looks like these chickens have been like lifting, you know, at the gym, you know, recently, and just like you know picking up the weights. So it's a tad ridiculous, but
Yeah.
like it's the same also though. If you look at tomatoes, if you look at actually tomatoes is the other way around. It seems like they've shrunk. If you look at like original
Strawberries have
tomatoes.
grown. Strawberries. The strawberries
Yes.
we get here in Quebec from California are like mutant strawberries. And
Yeah,
the
they're
ones
like
you get here
giant.
biological, like from the farms, are like, the regular size one. The
Yeah.
ones from California, they're like monstrous. They have no flavor in them whatsoever.
no, exactly. It tastes like water.
Yeah. So it's just chonkins. I love that. That's great. That's something in the chat.
Chunks. Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, so it's. I mean, basically what we're saying is, you know, genetically modified food's bad. You should all basically give up on the grid and start hunting yourself, and you know, pretty much build your own little shelter, start, you know, your little hunt grounds, and you know.
The thing is though, in Canada we are in a good spot for that. We have a lot of land and a lot of space for that.
Yeah.
But for sure, if you would live in China, probably you won't be able to hunt every day. You know, so
Yeah, it's population
we're kind of
density.
lucky in that sense that we're still in a spot where there's a lot of game, there's a lot of land, there's a lot of free space without people.
Yeah.
So we still have that luck that we can go and hunt.
And
So,
turkeys are thriving. Eh? They got reintroduced
yeah.
like not long ago in Quebec.
15 years ago.
Yeah, and they've just exploded in population
Oh,
here. And deer as well. So deer have been moving further and further north every single year, because we've noticed this with Lyme disease, is moving further and further north. And the deer population has had some culls because of overpopulation and disease. And so there's been some forced culls that have had to happen. So unfortunate. And this is why you've got these things like quotas, where some years you can take females, you can take ones with like only one spike or two spikes on their horns. Other years it's just males with X number of spikes. So yeah.
It's the same for every bird as well. Some years, like in the last couple of years, they reduced the quantity of bird that we can get at the start of the season, and then as the season we can go back to full limits. Just to protect, basically, because in the last couple of years with the melting, they had a lot of our time reproducing in some spots in the north, so the population went down a bit. So. But that's the case for goose. But snow goose, they're like, the government basically sending me a letter every year to go and hunt them. Also in the they want us to do our part because there's too much. And the thing is that when you have like 1,000 to 2,000 birds going into your field, they basically break your field
for sure.
to the ground. Okay. They eat everything. They shit everywhere, and it's super acid. So the field itself become really acid as well. So it's like even the people in here, there's a lot of growing field here in crops. People want us to go and hunt them. Yeah. So it's I think in Canada we're doing a good management of our resources, and the quotas are good.
Well, in chat, Adri says that they have problems with wild turkeys attacking golfers where he lives.
Yes,
I don't know where.
A couple of videos.
I don't know where you live. Yeah, it'd be interesting. Let us know where you live. And I watched sometimes the Joe Rogan podcast, and he recently moved to Texas. And he was saying that they have a problem with feral pigs down in Texas.
Yes,
that they go
wild hogs.
Yeah, they go apparently hunting them with helicopter out there, and there's no quotas because they're just reproducing like crazy, like rabbits.
Yeah, and they're like actually apparently like taking over towns and stuff. So that's actually really a legitimate problem in the States right now, which to me is one of the funniest thing ever. And there's also like a conspiracy theories that these are like brought over from Russia and they're genetically engineered pigs. Like take a sorry, I went to like a full story follow up on this.
At the end of the day, I don't care if they're Russian or not. I'm just gonna shoot them and eat them.
They're just pigs.
Unless they're from Chernobyl, they're rounding them up from Chernobyl and sending them over. Radioactive boars.
that's exactly it though. Like they're like Chernobyl pigs is the conspiracy theory. So it's honestly like just beautiful stuff, and like no one could honestly come up with, and yet someone did. And I respect their train of thought so much because it's so.
Oh, Adri lives in the West Island. Okay, so Adri's a local. So Montrealer then, I guess. So yeah, we've had issues with deer on the South Shore, where there was a cull as well. And I remember there was a huge outcry from PETA and people going, just relocate the deer. And yeah.
You cannot relocate them like that without having an impact somewhere else. Yeah. And we can see it with the turkey. They introduced turkey here in Quebec because there was never any sign of any turkey before that. And you saw how well they managed to basically become like so abundant that they're taking a lot of food. So the thing is that if you just try to move them like that, you're gonna end up with problems somewhere else. And we see that with a lot of type of insect as well that they introduce and other stuff like that. So it's not that easy to do. And I think the best way is really to just have a clean hunting, like manage the population instead of trying to relocate them all the time. But at the same time, having so much turkey in here, it's perfect for us because it's something that it's easy to hunt, gives a lot of meat. Basically, we just need to adapt to that because we don't see like wild turkey on the market. It's something new, but there's a lot of turkey. Like just last week, I went scouting for bird, and I went to my normal spot where I go turkey hunting. Is like 60 turkey right on my spot.
Oh my!
I mean, the thing is, those 60 big turkey, they're eating a lot. So what they do is they go in the crops, they eat the crops, or they go and eat like the bags of seeds that the farmer kept for their
Their
cows
next
and stuff like
planting,
this. Yeah. So they eat everything, and it's massive how much they eat, and they eat all year around. They stay in the same like region, and they keep on getting having babies. So we need to control them at the same time, but it's okay because we have the fun to have a lot of meat.
Yep. No, it's
You
really
know,
good.
When will anyone learn from Australia that you do not introduce a bird to a new territory without the risk of them taking over and winning a war?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's
Like
crazy.
no one, they'll learn about from the Emu War that essentially you just don't fuck with birds.
Yeah,
They
don't
will-
fuck with birds. Don't fuck with birds. But at the same time, Turkey almost got extinct. For a lot of time in the U.S., they were almost extinct. So I think it was in that effort that they
Okay.
tried to introduce it in
That
Quebec.
makes sense. Okay.
Yeah, the mice
Until the turkeys take
pandemic.
over and
Did you
become the
guys see the
overlords.
mice pandemic in Australia that happened last year?
No,
And
of
this
course.
year, oh my god, it was absolutely disgusting. They had billions, if not trillions, of mice overrunning Australia last year. And the videos are just, you just see the ground just moving, just carpets and carpets of mice, and there's crops and all the silos just completely just emptied with
yeah.
mice, and the farmers
And
are
the
just
bacteria as well. Those are rodents. It's not like nice for us because they got a lot of bacteria that.
no,
we
they
don't
said it was the
deal with.
smell of dead mice. That's all that hung in the air because there wasn't enough food for them, but they kept reproducing, and there was just stench of dead mice, and the people just couldn't. They had to barricade themselves in their rooms, and they would just hear them running around all around the rooms. Like it was just a horror movie for these people, and there were still people that were advocating, well, we should not kill these mice. We shouldn't poison them. We should just relocate them. And it's just like there's no cure for stupidity. I guess.
Relocate them in the oceans.
or to that person's apartment.
Yeah, where they're
Bring
coming
them to
from.
the.
It's not the mouse's fault and stuff like that, but at a certain point, when you make the fuck up of introducing something to your goddamn ecosystem, maybe you should unintroduce it to it. And some methods, like mice, there's like you kill two, you relocate two, and there's gonna be 57 more basically when you come back. It's like
no, they reproduce like hell. They
yeah,
reproduce
exactly.
like hell.
And like I was just looking, by the way, and I saw something horrible of this lady turning off her vacuum cleaner, and then just mice just coming out of the vacuum cleaner, one by one, after another, alive, and just like, "Hey, I'm out. What's up?" It's like, that's ridiculous.
Can you imagine trying to live in that? And they climb walls. The bastards climb walls.
I have actually been in combat with a mouse before. I chased it down with a screwdriver of all things. And I did win. I did win because I won through fear tactics because I chased it into a closet and I never found it again until 2 weeks later. I came back to that closet and I noticed it was smelling real bad. So I went in there and I found a very dead mouse. So again, not like nothing against the artist Dead Mouse 5. You're fine, but like it really is just. Yeah, that's my one hunting experience. So I lied actually.
Oh wait, so you didn't use a screwdriver? You didn't go to town on it?
Well, no, but I chased it down with a screwdriver. That was the first thing in hand. So like, and the worst part is I wasn't even holding it right. I was holding it like this, like I was gonna like
smash it.
Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna bat it, but no, like it was hilarious too because I had just come back from a weekend of being away for a while, and I just see this mouse just chilling out on my bed, like, hey, what's up? So I just chase it around the house, apparently with a screwdriver of all things.
Oh no, those are the worst, man. My wife hates mice, and in the fall, because we live in rural Quebec, right? If the kids leave the doors open for a little bit too long, they'll just, one will scurry
There's
in or whatever.
One's gonna come
Yeah,
in.
they'll sense the warmth, and they'll be like, "Oh, this is where I'm spending winter." And
then they find a hole that you can never take them out of. You just hear them in the wall. It's just like.
we had 2 last year, and it was in our bedroom. My wife yells out like 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning. There's a mouse in the bedroom. I run into the bedroom and I'm like, are you sure? Are you sure? And then like I just open up one of the bins and a mouse just runs up the wall. And that's when I found out mice can climb walls like Spider-Man. And I was like, I got creeped out.
Well, your walls are like actual wood.
Yeah. So I was like,
it's easy. There's a lot of grip.
Yeah, exactly.
So I was like, oh dear God. And then I'm like, oh god, we got to deal with this one mouse, and then I hear another scratching on the other side of the room. I'm like, oh god, we're closing the door. We're not going back to sleep until there's two. And so we spent the next 2 hours just slowly moving stuff out of the room, so there's less and less place for them to hide. And just picture this, like 3:30 in the morning, my wife's got this like big poster tube where we ship our big Fate of the Norns posters, but the really hard, heavy duty ones. And one of the mice pops its head out on top of my night table, and she just goes like Godfather Joe Pesci, like just to town on this thing. It just body parts everywhere. There was nothing left of that mouse, man. It was pulverized. I want you dead. Your family dead. Your house burnt to the ground.
So Tita, if you're watching this, I'm very sorry.
Oh man. Yeah, we got the other one with the sticky trap.
We're gonna get.
But oh man, that was our.
That's how you make mouse jam, right? That's basically my understanding.
Mouse jam? Yeah, no.
Mouse jam.
But I didn't want to touch anything on my night table for a while until everything dried up and
I'm
coagulated.
surprised you didn't just burn it personally, but you know, that's me. Now, as much
that's
as
a bit of an overreaction to burn your night table for that, but it's okay.
You never know. Maybe they laid eggs, you know.
Laid eggs. We got to get Aaron the hunting course.
Yes.
Mice do not lay eggs.
What? Mice lay eggs, right? You've never seen a mouse lay an egg?
Easter mice, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
Alien mice, yeah.
Yeah. But you guys don't have alien mice out there in the woods? Jeez. I was like...
Maybe you don't know.
So what's that beautiful Mossberg in the background there?
No, that's my shotgun. It's a Browning.
Oh, it's a Browning. That looks like my Mossy with my 3-barrel exchange slug.
Yeah,
slug
yeah,
and
it's
rifle.
a bit. It's because of the colors.
Yeah,
But this is a
That's an actual
semi-automatic.
Oh, the semi-auto. Okay, so
Yeah.
let's get into weaponry for our, because we've got an audience of RPGers here. Why not get into like a little bit of weapons talk? So give us a rundown of your shotty. I'll pull up my crossbow.
So basically, the difference between a normal pump action and a semi-automatic action is basically that you can, every time you shoot, it reloads automatically. This one, there's like two types. This one here is gas load. So basically, it recoups some of the gas from the ejection to just reinsert a new cartridge inside. So, and there's other type which is by inertia, which is basically kind of a spring loaded, let's per se. So every time you get a kickback, the spring will load back another bullets. So those one here, gas action, are a bit more tricky because you need to clean them often, especially if you hunt in a like dirty situation or there's a lot of dust and
mud. Yeah, whenever is it not dirty? I don't think we hunt in like sanitary, pristine conditions.
Most of the time you're like in kind of weird condition. There's always some crap going in, but you don't need to like break it down into pieces to clean it every time. But I would say like every like $2 or $3 of shell that I'm shooting, I will dismantle it totally, just clean it up. Make sure there's no like gun residues that goes in, because it's at some point it formed like a jam that basically not helping for the reload process and everything. But those are the most expensive type of shotgun because basically you can just aim, point, and shoot. You don't have to pump and realign your sight every time you pump your gun. So those are the best for birds. Because when the flock of birds come in, you can just shoot your 3 bullets right off the bat. Even if we can load like 5 bullets in there, we only have right to 3 bullets in Canada. Some states in the US, they have right to 8 or 12 bullets. They have like extended mags and stuff.
But it's a pin, right? We need to put in a pin.
Yeah, it's a pin that you put inside the loader.
A limiter.
Yeah, basically like a plug that basically don't let you put more than 3 bullets in there.
Yeah.
And if you don't have that plug in Canada, if you go and hunt and you don't have the plug, it's bye bye. You lose your gun and your permit and everything. So, but which is okay because we're basically giving a chance to the birds. Not we don't shoot the entire flock in one shot, and we give them chances. But and as long as the season go, they get educated on the. They don't get as close in the field. They know they're gonna get shoot. So, it's okay at the same time that we don't shoot that much because it gives them chances not to get destroyed all in one shot. But in the U.S., I know some states they have different limits, and the reason is because there's more bird also.
Yeah, that's true. And for turkey hunting and whatnot, usually you need like one shell anyways. You're probably not going to miss.
Yeah.
Maybe you need two, but like to finish it off in case you didn't. The thing's still kicking around because usually those turkeys have these nice big spurs on their legs that you don't want that thing hacking at you when you think it's dead. Yeah. So this is my choice for the first little couple of weeks, which is this guy over here. This thing shoots at. Oh man, I don't know this now off the top of my head.
Should be around 550 or something like that.
Yeah, somewhere.
Most of the crossbow are around that.
Pounds or like how many?
It's pounds.
Yeah.
550 fucking pounds behind that.
No, but the thing is, there's a pullback mechanism. So what happens is there is
a cord like you can
here. Yeah, there's a cord that hooks onto your strings. And notches behind here, so it's like a cantilever, and you pull on the cord to pull back the string. So because of the cantilever effect, you don't need as much force to pull it back. If I had to pull this back by hand, I'm not going to be able to do that. But with the actual cord and the cantilever on the back, I can actually pull this back to the snap trigger over here.
Okay.
And there's always a safety, so you don't put your thumbs up, so it don't chop your thumbs as it goes.
Yeah, so that's right here. So this is the safety right here, because it's going to fire off so fast. If your fingers are above the rope line, that's it. You're losing your digit. It's going away. Yeah, and because this thing has got so much force behind it, it's got an effective range, so the scope actually comes in handy. And you can carry some extra bolts with you. Usually I take that off when I'm in the blind because I'm only going to need one. There's going to be no time to reload and shoot again.
Nope.
Okay.
You got to make that first one count.
And as we mentioned before, this is my screwdriver.
Nice.
That's the best weapon.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty effective. I didn't actually hit the mouse with it. I did throw it in its general direction at one point, but... Yeah. But
you have to be the best hunter. You have to have the highest hunting points to actually sneak up to be able to use the screwdriver at that point.
Exactly.
Isn't that an Assassin's Creed or somewhere where they said like, oh no, it was Le Professionnel, the professional, or the one that, no, it was called Léon in French, the movie, and the professional, where he was talking about the beginner assassin begins with a sniper rifle at a distance, and you graduate all the way to the assassin with a knife.
Yeah.
And that's the Grandmaster. To be able to do it up close. So you're the Grandmaster.
And then there's John Wick, who can take someone out with a pencil. So
with a pencil.
Yeah, exactly.
If you go
How
with
about
a pencil,
Chuck Norris? He just needs to walk in a room.
This is true.
Chuck Norris, we're so over him.
Yeah, I mean that was like real 2008. You're like really dating yourself there, Andrew. I'm not gonna lie, but on that note, we've been talking for almost 54 minutes. So
fantastic.
I don't know if there's anything else you guys want to touch base, any questions from the chat that we want to talk about, anything we maybe want to point out this week while we still have ourselves live.
Yeah, absolutely. I wanted to touch base on our project for Vigrid. So we were partnering with the university to get that project done digitally. We were going to get 2 teams of students that were volunteering for various projects. It's kind of a co-op. And Joe was going to be on board as our project manager to manage those 2 teams. And, as a video game, back in my day, when I was in computer science, there was a video game project for computer science. I'm telling you, there would be a bloodbath of students fighting each other to get onto that roster. Unfortunately, we did not get 2 teams of volunteers signed up for this project. So it is DOA for the fall semester. So unfortunately, this is going to be pushed back by another semester, but I'm even of the mindset we might want to look at this as a Kickstarter. So release the print version of the game as a print-on-demand cards through the Game Crafter that people could pick up through the Kickstarter as the initial reward. And then the funding from that would actually help us get developers and build a team that we can actually get this digital project to market.
That makes sense.
You know, there's one more, I think, maybe kick of the can we can try in January. If that doesn't work out, I think that's the route. I just wanted to give that update because we have talked about Vigrid. We're excited about having the IT solution of the digital game. So yeah, just not to keep everyone's like hopes up. They're like, hey, when's that coming out? I'm ready to download it on my phone. It's not showing up on the Play Store. Yeah.
The thing is, we are as anxious as we want to put it on the market as well. We want to work on the project. I think it's going to be a nice project. So on our part as well, we are anxious of making it happen.
Oh, big time. Yeah, yeah.
And we also want to do it right? So
yeah,
like,
exactly.
that's
We just don't
different.
want to rush anything that won't fit.
Yeah, we're not EA, so like basically, sorry, should I not be throwing shade? My bad. So like, but yeah, that's it. Like usually when we deliver on stuff, we want to make sure it's exactly what we said. It's not some, technically it's what we said. We want it to be functional and playable. So it just
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
So was there anything else that we wanted to talk about today? According to my little paper, I don't believe so.
And I wanted to ask why Joe's wolf has one red eye and one blue eye.
Oh, this is actually a microbrewery T-shirt.
Oh.
This is a microbrewery logo for one of their beer.
Oh yeah. Where are they out of?
Bows is in Ontario, just in the limit of of Quebec, near Calypso. You know where Calypso is?
Roughly, yeah. It's not far from where we are.
No, it's not super far. It's like roughly an hour or something from Montreal, maybe two, in between Ottawa and Montreal.
Yeah, from
And
Lachute, I think it's like an hour.
And it's a super nice place, and they all organic stuff coming from that specific town. They use only stuff from that town to make their brew, and it's a super nice brewery.
Very cool.
So,
Shout out to them, then. You're wearing their shirt. The beer must be good.
Yeah, I love beer, and they make good beer. So
Win. Awesome. All right. Anything else from chat? Well, Joe, thanks for coming out.
my pleasure.
In the mood
As always.
talk hunting after buying a bunch of apples and carrots and salt licks and all that today. I'm gonna go put them down in my spot tomorrow. Start feeding the animals, fattening them up.
It's the best time of year.
Yeah.
I'm always it's the best 2 months of the year. I'm always excited. Every weekend is fun.
Nice. Well, hopefully we can hunt together soon. Pandemic past us. We can have some drinks together.
Sure.
Aaron, thanks for MCing as always. You're the superstar MC.
I do what I can. Well, and for those of you who are joining us live, thank you so much. For those of you watching on YouTube, thank you. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And, well, skull, guys.
Boy.